All right, guys, I am delivering some more news for you guys this week. And the only information brought to my desk today is that this guy is the Armchair Booker. He might have one of the raspiest voices here in the professional wrestling industry, but this week he's on the Jordan Garber Now podcast delivering his news and opinions. Steve, how are you doing, my man? Is there anything else we can know about you?
Oh, let's see. Well, nice to finally actually see you, Jordan. We've
That
been
voice that does have the rasp. Wow. Whoa.
never realized that I had the raspy voice, but you know what? I'll go with it. Um, but yeah, I was just very happy that you were actually the first one to contact us. As far as this relationship is going, and we were very grateful. I do have a podcast of my own called the Armchair Booking Wrestling Podcast. I run it with a friend of mine named Kyle.
Okay.
Um, Yep, we've been running the podcast now for, like I said, about 6 months or so, um, and we've enjoyed it. And I'm happy to be on your show because I've actually ever since you contacted me, I started listening to your show as well. I really
Oh,
enjoy
right
the
on.
content that you put out.
Thank you. Which
Um,
shows have you listened to so far?
well, actually, I listened to two of them today. Your latest two, your
Oh, what did you
Halloween
think?
special. I like them because
Thank you.
for me, because you're what, about 24, 25 years old.
I just turned 25, yeah, a few months ago.
Okay, and you have a pretty big wealth of knowledge, especially since you're already a referee, and I can see it looks like your referee shirt is hanging
It's right
behind you.
there.
Yeah.
Proudly hung up. 5
So,
years of busting my ass, my bum, going on the Coney Candelo Northern Death Tour. Dude, man, that was the greatest tour of my life when I got home because I survived all of that. But
yeah.
it's really good to go up north and go into communities that aren't as fortunate. When you go up north and you deliver wrestling shows like 15 times in 18 days, really north when you're isolated and everything's expensive. But the kids there, they live for that. The families want to take their kids there. You just mentioned here before the podcast that you have a 10-year-old son or daughter. And I'm sure that they love wrestling and they would love to see a show. So I could just imagine up north where they don't get to see a lot of that. And they're not as grateful to have what I got people like you and me have. So it really makes you open your eyes and be happy to deliver to a community and make sure they have your signature. It just really is an honor for me.
I was what is right when you said that about my 10-year-old son. He shows up.
Hey, man, welcome. He's on Jordan Garber Now, the youngest person to be on the program
Oh,
now.
you're the
You
youngest
set
person
a
to ever be on this
record.
podcast. Good job.
Well,
Yeah.
welcome to the program.
Now go lay down. Go to bed.
Bedtime. Well, it's way past his bedtime.
Well, yesterday it would have been because of the time change, but he just happened to walk in here right when you said that. But yeah, he's actually a pretty big wrestling fan too. In fact, next weekend there is a show from a local indie um, well, indie company called the Northern Wrestling Federation. They're going to be doing a show right here in our town,
Oh,
and
nice.
yeah, it'll be the first time they've been here since January. But of course, when January, a pretty good show, and they were supposed to come back in April, and then the Super Cooties hit, and nobody's doing any kind of shows. So now they're starting to do them again because they're a company. They're out of Cincinnati, but they do shows around some of the smaller towns around Cincinnati and in northern Kentucky. And so we're actually not the first show they've done, but we're about maybe the second or third that I know of. And I'm very curious as how they're going to manage to get the audience in there with the social distancing.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
Yeah. But and I know you've been asking about the Thunderdome. I have done the Thunderdome 3 times now.
Oh, were you the guy on Twitter that told?
Uh,
Oh, no, I don't think so. I think I messaged you about the Thunderdome because I actually know how to do that, and I'm so excited to be in it. But tell me how your experience was in it because I
um,
want to be on it. You're on WWE, man. You did more than me.
yeah, it was interesting, but a letdown at the same time.
Okay.
Because part of that, I don't know why I was expecting, kind of like right now. You and I are looking at each other because I was expecting all their monitors to actually have cameras, maybe on them to where you could actually watch the action like you were in the audience. But it wasn't like that. You're watching the same exact stuff that you're seeing on the TV, except for now you're seeing your little picture
Were
in
you
the
seen
bottom.
on TV?
No, and that was what the letdown
Oh,
really was because I've done it 3 times, haven't seen myself yet.
I
Last
guess
time
you have to be like one in a million. But you know what? Like, I want to get this off my chest as a podcaster because it eats the inside of me a little bit. Like, my dream is to make it to Japan or WWE, and like there's like like there's just these really silly marks that are just making it. But at the same time, I say it's what's no different from a regular audience than buying a ticket. Just because someone is on TV doesn't mean that they're like they've done more than you or something. It just means that they are a fan in the audience, like anything like an
right,
NBA show. It doesn't mean they did anything in the business. They paid that ticket. They're a fan. That's what I have to understand. If I'm in the Thunderdome, it doesn't mean I'm like the John Cena of podcasting. That doesn't count. That's a fan part. What we're doing is legit right now. So, um, I but I feel for you. You people like you and me, I want to be there in that front row because it still counts. At the end of the day, if you're on WWE, like you still have that thing on your resume that you're on it. So it's kind of interesting at the same time. That's for sure.
oh yeah. Because I kept waiting. Even last Friday for the SmackDown show, I was even holding a little baby Yoda up, just maybe, maybe they'll see this and they'll put me on there. But then
They give you
again,
cues and stuff too, right?
yeah, they do. The director will come across the speakers, and you hear him if you have headphones on, which I did. I was wearing the same ones I'm wearing now, actually. And that's so I don't bug anybody else in the house. But they'll say, okay, cheer, and right now I need you to boo, because when they did you watch SmackDown on Friday, this past Friday?
No, I did.
Ah, okay. So, you know about the whole Roman Reigns and the Usos.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, they had Roman. He was in there. Of course, the director saw us boo, and then Jay comes in there, and they start fighting each other again. Where Jay was fighting Daniel Bryan, and he actually beat Daniel Bryan, which I was kind of surprised. He beat him clean, but then after the match, Roman said basically give him another beat down, and when he did, the director's coming across their headphones saying boo. Now you need to boo, boo, make it loud, boo, and then you hear everybody going, boo, boo, doing the thumbs down thing, which I think is kind of goofy because that's something I would never do if I was actually there live. I might boo, but I mean I wouldn't do the whole thumbs down
So
because
your
just
audio does go as a part of the crowd mix. That's just not a sound
yes.
effect.
As far as I can tell, yes, the audio does go.
That's pretty cool how they probably put all that together at once.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is amazing how
What a
they
great
did.
idea.
Yeah, and I know they're going to be moving it here soon. They're going to be moving out of the Amway Center, but I don't think they've actually figured out the exact place where they're going to move it. But they're going to have to move that entire contraption. Good luck with that. That's the only thing I can say to them.
That sounds like a nightmare.
Yep.
Definitely a nightmare way before Christmas. That's for sure.
Yeah, and now all the talent, of course, some of them already live in Florida because everything's so localized, but now they're going to be traveling back and forth between Florida and wherever they end up setting up. I've heard rumors it may be in North Carolina, it may be I've heard Pennsylvania, um, but don't know. um, Now you're talking about you want to go to Japan. I'm assuming you're talking about wrestling in Japan.
I want to do it one day, my man. One day down the road, I want to do that.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. Now a little bit about my background, and actually, this is actually where I met my co-host. I was in the Air Force.
Oh wow! Thank you for your service. Me being Canadian, I still thank you because the two militaries have gotten along really
Oh,
well, and both soldiers have made Canada and America, the brothers and sisters, an amazing place to live. So thank you for your service
oh,
there.
oh, absolutely. And I've actually met, and I actually met and worked with some Canadian Air Force and Canadian Army at one point. Um,
Do we have an accent to you?
it depends on what part of Canada, actually.
Like, what about me?
Oh yeah, you definitely have an
Very
accent.
thick, eh?
Yeah, especially when you
A.
say a.
Yeah,
uh,
it's
my
crazy.
son, my son can't hear what you're saying because I have my headphones on, but um, because he just walked back over here and he's holding the Big Show.
Mm. Well, that's probably one of the most powerful action figures out there.
Yes. Um, but yeah, but I was actually stationed in Japan twice.
Oh wow, how was that?
It was nice. I actually like Japan. Um, the people are very friendly and very much into wrestling. And what was wild was one day I was in my barracks room, my dorm room, flipping through the channels and flipping through some of the Japanese channels because every once in a while you could actually catch American shows,
Yeah.
American movies and whatnot. Well, there was American wrestling, and it was actually WCW. And this was in around 95. So, Big Show, or back then he was the Giant. Um, he was just this mystery guy that you were seeing. He was showing up at the pay-per-views, and with WCW, we were always catching things months after the fact. You had to wait for it to come out on the videos, whereas WWF at the time was um, just about 2-3 weeks behind. But you'd always see this big dude on the videos. He was on the front row, and you can see he's menacing, and he's trying to grab Hulk Hogan and all them. Well, I'm watching him on the Japanese channels, and he's teaming up with Sting, which
Oh
I was
wow.
thinking, yeah, I was like, that's kind of odd. This dude that, he's looks like he's Andre's son, which they were trying to portray him as that later on, which I didn't agree with. I thought it was a little tasteless, but he was doing drop kicks. He was doing stuff off the top rope, and I'm like, oh, good God, who is this guy? You know, and just to see a man that size and he was doing these acrobatic moves was amazing. And I guess he got told in WCW to stop doing it. They're like, you're a giant. You need to do giant stuff.
Hmm. Yeah, Vince always liked big guys. I feel like I don't think there's like Vince appreciated small guys, but I don't think he loved people more than the big guys, especially Andre. He loved Andre.
Oh yeah. Oh, well, because Vince to me, and I'm coming from strictly from a fan's viewpoint. I've never actually been involved with professional wrestling as much as what I've liked to have been, but um, to me, he looks at the big guys like, okay, they draw money because people want to pay to see someone that big, but as an attraction though, you can't show it all the time. That's why Andre was only brought out every once in a while. And but if you're in the big guy matches, to be honest with you, you get two guys as big as Andre in there, the match itself isn't going to be that good. Because they're limited on what they can do because the two big guys, well, the ring is only 20 by 20 and WCW's rings are only 18 by 18. And, so it's not going to be as exciting. Now you'll still pay to watch it just to see these two great big behemoths just beat the hell out of each other. But, but I mean, much rather watch like the Steamboat Savage match or some of the Rock and Roll Express, Midnight Express matches from back in the day. Or even, the Rockers when, they were still a team before, Sean tried to stop Marty from running through the glass window and he failed, but, which that was a great angle too, by the way, because I heard you talking about that one earlier on your podcast about
Yeah.
the Rockers when they broke up. Because that was one of the things I remember, and you could kind of see it coming in a way, but but I liked Shawn Michaels then, and I knew he was going to be good. Um, and I was glad to see that, and I just wish his attitude, and that we're hearing about from his attitude outside the ring, would have been a little bit better.
Yeah. Oh man, you can go on and on about stories from Shawn Michaels in the 80s and 90s.
Yep. And I think one of the most underrated matches that people don't talk about it for some reason, but it was him against one of Canada's actually greatest wrestlers, Rick Martel, when they had their match at SummerSlam in '92.
That was a great match.
It was
I had the honor to meet Rick Martel in Selkirk. Actually, he's a really cool guy.
really, oh, that'd be awesome. Um,
Yeah, man, it was really
because
cool.
yeah, because that was actually when I first started not just watching it, but then I started buying the magazines.
Oh
The
yeah, me too.
yeah, and it was Person Illustrated and all the after mags. Person Illustrated, The Wrestler, Inside Wrestling, Sports Review Wrestling, Wrestling USA, and Wrestling 80, whatever the year was. But Martel was actually the AWA World Champion at the time. So it was Flair, Martel, and Hogan were the first three world champions that I remembered. Um, and then watching the Royal Rumble in '92, all three of them were in that match.
Oh wow, I
And
do
to me,
remember that too.
yeah, to me that was one of the coolest things, just because looking back going, okay, these three guys are world champions. And then Kerry Von Erich was also in that match, and Savage was in that match. And I think that's why that Royal Rumble to me is the best one, because I mean, you look at the talent, you look at all the former world champions, and this was before they were handing it out, where there was a title change like once a month. I mean, this is when guys held the title. I mean, they held it for a while.
No, they definitely did. By the way, I'm going to make this our daily news update for November the 1st, 2020. Steve, every time, Steve, can I call you Steve, the
Yeah.
Spaceman Armchair Booker?
Steve is fine.
Steve,
Yeah,
okay.
whatever you prefer.
Okay. I love it, man. You looking at your background here makes me want to go up into space and just enjoy maybe some space food, some marshmallows or something. Anyways, let's go into some dip into some news here and some topics. The name Matt Riddle is just Riddle. What are your thoughts? Like, do you care? I don't even think it's a big deal. I think people are making a big deal out of nothing here. What do you think?
I mean, if they're just going to call him just Riddle,
I just call him ET or something. Like, what the fuck? I mean,
yeah.
what the
Dude,
heck? I'm sorry. Yeah.
Dude, your podcast, you say whatever you want.
Oh, I know. I'm just too sensitive.
Believe me, it won't offend me. I did 20 years in the Air Force, man. So, yeah.
Well, then, then I'm good. I couldn't survive the Air Force, but my family did, right? Like I was saying, my uncle was in I don't think it was the Air Force. It was, what's the ground again? Just regular Army, regular military, yeah. But what I want to do is, if I ever end up joining the military, I want to do it with a trade, with the Navy or something, or with the regular Army, because like when you're in there, if you choose something other than infantry, like you could be set for life if you pick your thing. At least in Canada, it works that way.
Well, here's what you do, and actually, a lot of us we talked about doing this. Actually, we found out some of our Canadian coworkers, they were getting paid a lot extra to be in the U.S. They were actually getting paid like a housing allowance, which apparently they didn't get in Canada.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yep, and they could call in sick, without having to go to a sick call or the hospital, whereas at the time we actually didn't have the option to do that.
Oh no sick days.
And they also had the Canadian Embassy, because I was actually in Maryland where I worked with, some of the Canadians, but the Canadian Embassy, of course, is more or less right down the road, so they could get like Canadian cigarettes, Canadian beer, if they needed it. Because one of the guys, he smoked, and at the time I smoked, and we'd go outside. And now I will tell you that, I mean, I preferred the American cigarettes over the Canadian cigarettes. But
can I have a cigarette on here? Where are my cigarettes?
Yeah, go ahead, man. Knock yourself out.
I want to have a cigarette with a 30-year Air Force. It's an honor to do something like that, man.
Well, not 20 years, not 30, but
20. 20.
Yeah, 20 years. Yeah, retired as a E7, a master sergeant.
Sorry, my light's just going crazy on and off like that. Maybe it's a rave going on here or something. Because once again, all of a sudden, it's 3 years ago again. Just kidding. No, but no, that's really. What was your favorite part of your day-to-day operations of like what you were doing? Because like I hear a lot of great stories. Like, yeah, it's tough. They break you down and stuff like that. But like, you also meet friends that become brothers. And when I say brothers, I mean legit blood.
Well, I'll tell you this. Like I was talking about Kyle. I mean, he and I, we met 22, 23 years ago.
Yeah.
And here we're still friends, and he's a great co-host. He actually couldn't make the Zoom meeting tonight,
next time we'll get him on.
Next time. And, and I'm 47, he's around 40. And he grew up mostly in California, so he actually watched, some of the events in the Cow Palace back in the day. And, so he could tell you, kind of from that standpoint, but he also remembers at the time when both the WWF and the NWA, which was morphing into WCW, was going national, so he was starting to see all those shows from the East Coast. and some to me they were still local. I didn't even think about the fact that they were broadcasting nationwide. They were still local because they were still shown on the local channels for me.
Yeah.
Um, and the area of North Carolina actually that I grew up in is actually the same area that the Hardy Boys and Shannon Moore grew up in. So there's actually a chance that I may have met them, back when we were kids, because I actually have a couple of cousins that actually went to high school with them.
Oh, nice. That's really cool.
Yep.
Yeah, man. North Carolina, great state, great sports, great everything, great barbecue.
Oh yeah.
Can't mention that.
Oh heck yeah. But and you sound like you're a man who's well traveled as well.
Yeah, I've been, man. I love wrestling because it's been all about the journey, and like even to say I've done tours and made money. It's an honor and a privilege. I been to places like Wisconsin, Oconto and Oconto Falls. Man, those places were awesome. Have you ever heard of them?
I've heard of. I've never actually been to Wisconsin
It's
though.
like in the Green Bay area.
Okay.
Wisconsin's really nice state. Then we did Minnesota. I went to a few Ring of Honor shows and almost got I was almost used as an extra. I don't think that it would never have happened though, but I was they were short on people, but no, I wasn't big enough. But they had a Ring of Honor in Minnesota and Wisconsin, got to road with a few wrestlers there. That was amazing. And where else did I do? I went to I think Iowa. No, not Iowa. I did Saskatchewan too. I also did Thunder Bay, and I also did another place in Ontario. So Manitoba, Saskatchewan, far up north, and Minnesota. I did Coon Rapids. I did a Minnesota Extreme Wrestling show in the States once. And then pretty much, yeah. And then I went down to Wisconsin, and then it was around the Midwest where I the furthest I went, but I still loved it, man.
All right. Cool. I've never actually had the pleasure of going up to Canada yet. Um,
I'm
now
sure
there
you've
was
been to
some.
the Midwest, though. I'm sure you've been to
Oh yeah. I
Minnesota.
mean, I've never actually been to Minnesota either. The furthest north um, I've ever been, with the exception of Washington State. Well, I guess Alaska too. I flew through there once, and
That's nice.
yeah, I flew through there, went outside to smoke, and I was like, "Oh my god!" it was in December, and while I was leaving Japan at the time, but I walked outside to smoke, and I was like, the whole bunch of we smoked real quick and got back inside. Um, but besides that, really Ohio, where I live now,
Which is in the Midwest.
yeah, it's in the Midwest. I mean, of course, been to Illinois, been to
Technically,
Indiana.
we're in the Midwest too. Winnipeg, Manitoba is pretty much the high like the northern point of the Midwest, in my opinion.
Okay.
We're 16, 17 hours from you. We could probably drive through. You guys are close to Michigan, so we'd probably get to you guys through Michigan, through Ontario.
Yeah, and then come down I-75 actually, and it'll take you down to Cincinnati, and then
I always want to go to Ohio, man. We had Noah Garber on as doing the news segments, and like Ohio is really good because they have a really strong independent wrestling scene. The
they
people
do.
there, they're a very honest kind of state. Very people are straight up but very nice about it. They're very concerning. They're very good people. So I always wanted to go out there and referee in Ohio. I like working with people in Ohio like yourself and Noah. And yeah, Ohio is just a really good state for wrestling, man. Like Ohio Valley Wrestling, although that was founded in Kentucky, but they
I'm about
call
to say
it
because
Ohio because Ohio is awesome, I
and
guess.
I heard that podcast when he was talking about Ohio Valley Wrestling, and I was actually kind of laughing a little bit because I was thinking Ohio Valley Wrestling was actually out of Louisville, Kentucky. Um, but when Ohio Valley Wrestling was starting, there was another one that was actually starting in Cincinnati called Heartland Championship Wrestling, which was run by, I think it was Les Thatcher.
Oh, he's a legend.
Yeah. And I want to say that's where Dean Ambrose or John Moxley, that's where he started. Um, was running because he's from around the Cincinnati area.
Yeah.
And I've heard that's
You're in
actually where he's.
Cincinnati or are you in Columbus?
I'm about 30 miles east of Cincinnati.
Oh,
Um,
you know what company? I That was my first call center campaign. The city I called was Cincinnati. A lot of memories there. Do you remember the phone line called Cincinnati Bill?
Yeah, Cincinnati Bell's still there
Is
actually.
it still exists? Wow, that's
Hmm.
the first ever call center campaign. People would call in and scream at me. It's like, my phone line isn't hooked up. And I'd be like, well, I don't know what to do. I don't even know where you are. And then they're like, but my phone line, I have to go to the bank and do all of this. And I'm like, welcome to call center life. And now I'm still doing it. So thank you, Cincinnati Bell.
um, but yeah, I mean, and we've okay. I just got the meeting has been upgraded by the host. Okay, good
We
deal.
got a gift. Thanks, Zoom, for making this more than 40 minutes. We're going to wrap this up in 5 minutes, but let's talk about Cincinnati Bell and some other news quick first.
News real quick. We have an election in 2 days, and I don't know if you've heard.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, and actually, because I was stationed, my last two duty stations were actually in England, and so I still actually get news alerts for Sky News and BBC, and so I see how much they actually care about the election as well. Because I've seen a lot of American news stories that pop up on them first before they even pop up on our news outlets,
Oh,
which to me,
absolutely. It's a
yeah,
big thing.
um, yep. But I'll be so glad when the election's over.
I'm just
Um,
entertained by watching it, man. I'm not really a political guy, so from a
Woo.
standpoint, I just consider it like TV to me. Like, what happens happens. I don't really worry too much about the outcomes. You can't in nowadays. You just whatever. You go out and you vote. You speak your voice, and that's it. It is what it is. And I've been that debate's been hilarious so far between the two. I love it, but I'm not gonna get
Yeah.
into that. But it's been hilarious just as a non-political guy. But if I was a political guy, I probably would think differently about it.
Um, yeah, and I always tell people I don't really well, I do care who you vote for, but at the same time I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. Just go out and vote. Make your
Yeah,
voice heard.
speak your voice.
Because not only that, but if you don't vote, then shut up. You know,
Everyone that's mad right now in America are probably the ones that didn't vote.
that's what happened in 2016. There was a lot of people mad, and you ask them, "Well, who'd you vote for?" Then oh, I didn't vote. Like, do what? If you didn't vote, then and
That's
you
like
had
worse
and
than voting for the party you don't like, or
right,
not voting for the party you don't
uh,
like, or whatever. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. If you vote for the other party just because, you know, but yeah, and if you could vote and you didn't, well, that's on you. That
Exactly.
also means that, you had a chance to do something and you didn't. Too bad, so sad. Um,
That's all I
but I
say
will,
is vote. That's all I can say about it.
but I will say something about Canada. One of my favorite bands and the best concert I ever saw is from a band from Canada,
Oh, a band.
Rush.
Oh, Rush. Limelight's my favorite song by them. They're great.
Oh yeah, Rush. They put on a great show. I saw them in 1997 on
Oh,
the Test
wow.
Record Tour. Yeah. Um, yeah. Also, I mean, I was pretty sad. I think I probably cried when I found out Neil Peart died.
Yeah, that was terrible news. I was pretty upset
Yeah.
about that as well.
So, but anyway, so real quick, I do want to push the podcast that we have, because the armchair wrestling booking, armchair booking wrestling podcast. We are live at Monday nights at 8:30, 8:30 Eastern time. Tomorrow night we're going to be discussing what we consider like the state of wrestling. Every other week we do like a top 10 of kind. And so tomorrow we're doing the state of wrestling. Next week, in honor of Veterans Day in the States, we're going to be doing the top 10 wrestlers who are also veterans.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
yeah.
I'm excited for
So
that, man. I'm gonna have to call in after my shift at work and tune in. Be
yep.
sitting in the kitchen trying to get some airtime. I want to get booked, brother. I'm hoping to get booked. If I can,
Yeah.
my payout could be the bus fare on the way home from the job. That'd be awesome. Just kidding.
So, um, and yo did absolutely call in, and I'll make sure that you have the number. If I haven't given it to you already, I'll make sure that you have it. And you're on our Facebook page now,
Yeah,
so
I gave it a like.
all right, fantastic. Yeah, definitely let your friends know about us, and I'll let my friends know about you, and we will all be in this together.
Absolutely, I appreciate it. I'm looking for as many people to spread the word of. Well, I was going to point to a sticker, but I was totally on the spot there. I want to spread the word of the Jordan Garber Now podcast as much as I can. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
Support it, and I'll support you. We're all in this together. Steve is right, that's for sure. Steve, I want to thank you very much for taking the time. It was a pleasure.
All right, thank you, Jordan. I really appreciate you reaching out.